The Constitution limits the government, not us. You obviously don't know or care. The First Amendment supersedes anything you, the county, or the state says. Taking the right of the people to petition the government and redress grievances on the agenda for discussion? Shame on you. You all swore oaths to the Constitution and clearly don't even know what's in it. Let's be honest, you want to deny a right because you can't withstand criticism.
It could be anybody in this room. Speak to our city manager or one of the council members because they have a concern about constantly being addressed and talked to in any kind of way. See, it's not what I perceive. It's the individual that you're talking to. That's how they perceive it. And I look out for the good of all residents, also council, and also city staff. So if they have a complaint and tell Mr. Cagle or myself or other council members that they feel that way, I can't change how a person feel when you address them in any kind of manner.
Felt very insincere, as that you tried to mansplain to me what you did. Yeah, you disrespected a handshake from me.
Posted my petition. An attorney labeled me as a violent communist on social media. I have learned a lot in this town, and that lately we've had anger that could provoke the misuse of firearms in the chamber. It was a great concern to me.
I have a very important question to wrap up with, and that is who put this agenda item on here to remove citizens' petitions from the city council meetings? It wasn't addressed at the last workshop last week. It isn't anything I saw a motion of direction for. So that means either the mayor, the city manager.
From my experience, people filed citizen petitions as a last resort when contacting council members, city manager, and other city staff does not work. If we're just here to praise, nobody will show up if we're just here to praise you. I mean, that would just defeat the purpose.
State law as it regards the carry of firearms by citizens of this state on public property allow for the option to carry, open carry lawfully. Subsequent to the change of this law, the city took it upon itself to ban the lawful carry of firearms in either concealed carry or open carry configuration. In a case where an Army major took his slave out into the territories, he said it was, not only did he say he didn't have a right, but he said, you know what, black people cannot carry guns. What is wrong with y'all? And I'm looking, the majority of you are people of color, and yet we still have this stuff coming up here. But I tell you what, Mr. Alvarez, Mr. Segarra, and whoever else it was, I recalled you.
I personally witnessed the council use allocated time in citizens' petitions portion while that person's speaking to interrupt them or intimidate that speaker so they go off course and don't know really what they're talking about because you won't listen. I must remind these takers of freedom that in 5 months, voters will go to the polls and have the opportunity to remove these cowards and these shameful men from office.
Every day, I get a call or I get a comment or someone says, Mrs. Cobb, did you know? And I say, do I know what? Silence always works. Work will win when winning won't. Just because I don't say a word. I'm not a coward.
Just want to go on record as clearing that, making it clear that at no time has there have been a discussion of removing firearms from here. Thank you.
Removing the citizens' petition. Why would you do that? You're trying to control what is said and brought before the public? Why? That's the case ever since I have been coming before this council to speak. I have been gavelled out numerous times.
I've recorded Ms. Bracey telling people that freedom of speech ends at the city limits of Killeen, Texas. It was on Channel 6 News. There is nobody in here better than anybody else. We all get criticized. Trust me, I get criticized all the time. I have Ms. Bracey spreading rumors and lies about me all the time. But it just happens. Grow up.
When the fact that our city attorney, who is a lawyer, as you know, agreed with the blatant violation of personal constitutional rights. The right for a citizen to petition the government for redress and grievances is part of the foundation of this great nation. Our founding fathers sought this to be true, and that is the reason why it is part of the First Amendment, not the Second, not the Third, or the Fourth.
Increased police presence for non-existent threats to your safety is actually another form of intimidation. It's on file with Bell County, the paper can check, I know they won't, that a judge said you have a pattern of harassment and intimidation. The judge pulled the reverse Uno card on you after you tried to sue citizens, claiming that they were slandering you.
It's one thing between your freedom of speech, but this council also have the freedom of speech. Whether someone come up here and praise us or someone come up here and slander our name, it's still freedom of speech. So you don't have to like what someone's saying, it's freedom of speech. But it crossed the line and violates a person's freedom of speech when you do slander, false accusations, and try to assassinate their character when you have 4 minutes.
Here to speak on the gun issue.
Yes, sir.
There's never been an incident of gun violence here, and I don't think anybody's right to carry should be diminished because somebody is hysterical or paranoid about it.
All right, sit back, relax, get your popcorn ready, because this one is another longin', and holy crap. I'm lost. I'll see you at the end.
Mr. Bryce, you have 4 minutes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. So, yeah, just to preface this a little bit, this goes back to October 17th and October 19th, as you know. And it's kind of compounding. When I asked to speak, you denied my right to speak. And then the following Thursday, you cordoned me off with a couple police officers and the city manager, and the only one still in her seat was the secretary. You said that you apologized for the disrespect for ignoring me when I asked a question. However, it was felt very insincere, as that you tried to mansplain to me what you did. Yeah, you disrespected a handshake from me, not once, but you've done that 3 times to me so far. I don't know what I've done to you. I don't know why the accusations that I'm harassing people here or the city staff, why you made that to the newspaper. But I don't threaten anybody, and I don't condone any violence or any threats to anybody here at the city council. You're my city council. That's my representative right there. You're my mayor. So I don't harass anybody. I don't harass the staff, anybody that services me, or anything like that. So I take offense of public accusations made to the our newspaper. And that was reported to be you and Mr. Cagle made that report that I was harassing people. So I'm here to address that right now. If you got any questions of me about harassment or my actions, speak it now. Because I'm just saying, look, if you disrespect my handshake, you offer your hand to shake my hand, to be respectful to me, and then you just look away and walk away at the same time, that's disrespectful to me. And then when you cordon me off with police and one other person and nobody else in here but just me and y'all, and then you tell me I'm cutting you off, I'm like, we're not talking about city council. We're just having a conversation. We get to talk respectfully, right? I can disagree respectfully, but I don't need to be disrespected. And then when I can't do that off the side, then this is the only avenue and the only approach that's available to me. So with that, that's what I had to say. I appreciate your time, and I'm here to answer any questions. If I committed harassment to you, I apologize. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to lower my taxes. Stop spending money. That's what I'm here for. Is there any questions of me, Madam Mayor?
I guess there's no questions of you.
Okay, thank you for your time.
With that being said, I just wanted to address several things. The first thing is that the statement that was made that I cornered somebody off with police officers, and there was no one else in the room except me, police, Miss Laura, and Mr. Cagle. Councilmember Board can attest to this because he walked up to me. That was after the town hall meeting when there was a lot of people in the room. So it was just not the 5 of us. It was we had just completed the town hall meeting. I want to address harassment. If a staff member say that you or anyone else, it could be anybody in this room, speak to our city manager or one of the council members because they have a concern about constantly being addressed and talked to in any kind of way. See, it's not what I perceive. It's the individual that you're talking to. That's how they perceive it. And I look out for the good of all residents, also council, and also city staff. So if they have a complaint and tell Mr. Cagle or myself or other council members that they feel that way, I can't change how a person feel when you address them in any kind of manner. Madam Secretary.
CP 23034, Patsy Bracey. Removal of firearms from the City Council chamber for safety of council members, the mayor, Mr. Cagle, and citizens.
Good afternoon, Mrs. President.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, and City Council. After the posting of my petition on the agenda, I was labeled as a violent communist. There has been a picture posted of me on the website as a violent communist. And rather than accept to my present speech, I'm going to reverse it. Because I cannot determine.
Mrs. Bracey, the unique thing about citizen.
Ma'am.
The unique thing about citizen petitions is that
Yes, ma'am.
once you put it in, you have to talk only on that subject.
I can alter a little bit.
Just as long as you're talking
It's
about.
after posting my petition, an attorney labeled me as a violent communist on social media. I have learned a lot in this town, and that lately we've had anger that could provoke the misuse of firearms in the chamber. It was a great concern to me, but I altered my speech, so it didn't seem like I was trying to do something out of it. After reading some of the suggestions that the mayor had about renovating and revising, I realized that that's the way we should go. And I did not come here to create any animosity toward anybody. And after that threat to me, it scared me. I'm scared to walk to my car tonight. But I know that you guys are going to do the right thing about gun control. You're going to take your best and make the best decision. Sometimes it's time to hold them. Sometimes it's time to fold them. When it's time for me to fold them.
Thank you.
I have a very important question to wrap up with, and that is who put this agenda item on here to remove citizens' petitions from the city council meetings? It wasn't addressed at the last workshop last week. It isn't anything I saw a motion of direction for. So that means either the mayor, the city manager put it on there on their own, or a minimum of 2 council members emailed the mayor and city manager saying they wanted it on the agenda. Those are the only ways for it to be put there. And I would love to know who it is that is now wanting to go another step further in quieting the citizens and taking away our speech. There's accusations being thrown around by council members, by city managers. The mayor is correct. Nobody can help the way somebody perceives something. Doesn't mean you go to the newspaper with it when someone tells you that that's their perception. For example, I perceive it that I was threatened, and so was everyone else. When the mayor put in the paper, she would give everyone a first warning at every meeting, so there was no confusion when the police were asked to escort a personnel, or when the mayor said that she was going to add a whole lot of extra police officer to keep an eye on the citizens, which just does nothing but tell the public and potential investors our mayor doesn't even trust our citizens and doesn't even feel she's safe. Why would they come here? I want to know who's responsible for this, so we know who to not vote for.
Your time is up. And I just want to make some corrections on that. The police officers are here for the safety of not just the council, but also the residents and also the staff. There have been several council members have concerns about the behavior, especially our last council meeting. Something that started within this chamber led to an altercation outside this chamber. That's your first warning. Do not interrupt this meeting. That's your first warning. Second, the conversation about the mayor in the paper making threats. Why do I need to make a threat to anyone? I was voted in by the people to be the mayor of the city. I have a council that does an extraordinary job. The mayor just presides over the meeting. The council makes the decision, 4 to 3 or 5 or however they want to vote. That goes into a play. So I'm getting more power than what I deserve because I don't have that authority. That is your second warning. That's your second warning because you are interrupting the meeting. Ms. Anka. Good afternoon. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. From my experience, people file citizen petitions as a last resort when contacting council members, city manager, and other city staff does not work. I think it would be better to meet in person and discuss. However, from my experience, you refuse to. If you do find the time to meet, I agree, you probably have less citizens petitions. Also, the main purpose of a council meetings is to discuss problems. So by definition, we're going to have disagreements, right? By definition. We're not here to just talk about praise. I mean, we're here to talk about problems and discuss issues. If we're just here to praise, nobody will show up if we're just here to praise you. I mean, that would just defeat the purpose. And what you see as an attack of you and the city managers, actually the result of issues being ignored for years. I can show you emails I sent you years ago, and I asked you for advice. I got no response, completely ignored. And that's how it got to this point. And families were hurt. People I talked to moved out of Killeen for that reason. I had been told by several people, I don't bother going to city council because all they're going to do is ignore me. The city website advertises citizen engagement. That sounds wonderful. But if you're proposing to remove citizen petitions, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Okay, I still have time. And I appreciate you letting me speak. Citizen engagement is for you to hear praise. I agree. Totally. It is. You should hear praise, and you deserve praise. But that's not the main purpose. The main purpose is to discuss problems like crime or, I don't know, water lines or roads. That's why people come to city council. And if you take criticism as an attack, I don't see how you can do the job. If you will be criticized, no matter who you are, you will be criticized. And as far as safety in council chambers and removal of firearms and so on, I'd like to remind you the only time police recognized a violent threat was from one of you. When one of you went into the audience all the way to the end of that room, that's when police on their own, without being called, intervened. And they have training, they know how to recognize a threat. That was the only time when the police on their own determined, yes, this is a threat, we have to step in. And they did. And last meeting, yes, I agree, it was very rude, uncalled for that person to yell at or raise his voice at the photographer and stop him from taking a picture. That was rude, that was uncalled for, unnecessary, but it was not violent. The police didn't approach to stop the discussion. That was not violent. It was rude. I didn't like it. And I'm glad you apologized to the photographer. I don't think it was necessary. But again, it was not violent. The police did not approach last week when that happened. They only approached when one of you actually went in the audience and threatened to attack somebody. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to speak.
Ms. Anka, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said that you send me emails, and anybody that know me, I do reply back to emails. But I'm curious, who is your council representative on this council?
I'm in DTJ, so I don't know who it is. I guess it's everyone at large. What does that mean? Does that mean okay, can you please explain what that means?
So I'm just trying to, you say you sent me an email.
Well, all of you, not just you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry for being.
And I want to do one more clarity.
Yes.
It was not a council person up here that have gone out into the audience to attack
Well,
anybody.
one of you, well, not you in particular,
Not us,
but a
no one
council
up here.
member. Yes.
That person's been long gone. So when you make a statement, and that's just why I'm getting clarity, I want everybody to know.
Yes,
not
I'm sorry,
a
yes,
council
none of
member
you
to
here
my
today,
left nor my
yes,
right
you're
have
right.
ever gone out in the
Right.
audience in an aggressive manner
Right.
toward a resident. The individual she's talking about, I think they've been gone 6, 7, 8 months, long gone. But Councilmember Boyd have a question for you.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I didn't have a question. I was going to clarify what you just stated, that it is a fact that not
Yes.
one council member up here stepped
Thank you
out
for
to confront.
clarifying. I apologize. I
To confront.
apologize for the.
Sure.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes, the point is that a council member threatened the audience, not the other way around. And that's when you're talking about being safe here. It goes both ways. Anyway, yes, thanks for clarifying. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Jonathan O'Cray, good afternoon, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, and City Manager, I stand before you appalled that this subject is again on your agenda. During my time of service to our city, state law as it regard the carry of firearms by citizens of this state on public property allow for the option to open carry lawfully. Subsequent to the change of this law, the city took it upon itself to ban the lawful carry of firearms in either concealed carry or open carry configuration. All right. I took it upon myself to bring that item back up for discussion. And subsequently, the Killeen City Council amended its policy to be amenable to state law. Subsequent to that, a member of the council brought this very subject back to the council for workshop, where the wisdom of the council at that time was to amend the city policy to come in line with state law. And what is your problem? You cannot come in line with state law. We have something down at the city. The city is down in the Third Court of Appeals right now, because we tried to change state law at the municipal level. How crazy could that be? And coming from a historian and a political science major, that's nuts. Listen closely. Are you familiar with the following people or organizations? Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, Fidel Castro, Kim Jong-un, Adolf Hitler, the KKK, the first American terrorist organization formed by the Democratic Party, Benito Mussolini, and the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. All of these people, except for the little man running around with all of the medals on with the funny hat, those people too. They all had one thing in common. They were able to kill millions of people because of one thing. The general populace was stripped of their right to keep and bear arms. Again, imagine, now, me being black all my life, imagine after 1865, if I was a former slave, I had the privilege to carry a gun. I don't think the KKK would have stood a chance. So how much further, me as a black man, being black all my life, with this thing strapped on my back, we would have been further down the road had we had it. But because of the Supreme Court and Justice Taney, in a case where an Army major took his slave out into the territories, he said it was, not only did he say that he didn't have a right, but he said, you know what, black people cannot carry guns. What is wrong with y'all? And I'm looking, the majority of you are people of color, and yet we still have this stuff coming up here. But I tell you what, Mr. Alvarez, Mr. Segarra, and whoever else it was, I recalled you. Guess what? I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. And you know what? I'm going to add Mr. Boyd, Mr. Adams, Ms. Cobbs, Mrs. Gonzalez, and I promise you, Mr. Alvarez, I will get more than 19 signatures this time. You know what?
Mayor,
I'm going to get that. Thank you for your time.
Dr. Cochran, good afternoon.
Before I start, can you answer the question the young lady had about who's responsible for the petition being on tonight's
It's going to be on the presentation. You would know. You still have your 4 minutes to get started, sir.
Tonight, I'm speaking on RS 23-193, removal of citizen petition section from the city council agendas. Good citizens of Killeen, history will be made tonight. Changes to the city charter will be approved. I know it will be approved because you're cowards. The city attorney is removing the citizens petitions from council agendas, council meetings, and governing standards that are located within the Killeen documents. Constituents will lose their ability to speak on any given topic of their choosing and not be able to speak or highlight of any issue that is personally important to them. In the past, citizen petitions were used to voice concern in areas that the council may not be aware of. For example, concerns over the homeless population. For example, brown water coming out of homes that are constantly broken or have broken pipes that the city manages. For example, requests for people to the City Council not to purchase dilapidated buildings or properties which they went and moved forward with. For example, the constant disinformation of building some imaginary grocery store in the Northern District. My personal favorite, the last one, is personal request for the City Council to review how many vehicle washing stations are needed within a 7-mile radius of the city limits. For the record, 47 is how many we have, and they're still being built. While a person is speaking, the mayor and the city manager, for some reason, cannot politely listen to that person for 4 minutes. It surprises me. Instead, the City Council actively blocks meaningful efforts to resolve many of these constituent problems and challenges by interrupting them and a lack of showing sympathy for that resident's concerns. I've personally witnessed the council use allocated time and citizens' petitions portion while that person's speaking to interrupt them or intimidate that speaker so they go off course and don't know really what they're talking about because you won't listen. To me, the city attorney has taken precious time away from the City Council, which it now uses to look at their phones and fend off public accountability. To speed up their agenda process, the mayor and the city manager have previously said that the elimination of 4 minutes by this council should help move along the agenda. Tonight, these historic public chambers will approve a violation of the U.S. Constitution. The so-called leaders of Colleen will eliminate free speech without a constituent's vote, approval, or any kind of recognition. The founding fathers of the U.S. Constitution will be disgusted by the council's act to remove citizens' petitions and the free speech that goes along with it. My question to you is, how long are the residents going to align with this low-level government issues when the council takes away their time of free speech? Let's look at the council. It's comprised of former military service members who tonight will take part in the illegal removal of free speech, as well as the citizens' petitions. I must remind these takers of freedom that in 5 months, voters will go to the polls and have the opportunity to remove these cowards and these shameful men from office. Democracy dies when Colleen's leadership becomes too powerful, especially when they fail to incorporate a checks and balances approach in the city management. I have witnessed the mayor use her gavel to eliminate free speech and interrupt someone when they're speaking. Thanks for not doing it to me. She personally disagrees with them and tries to discourage them from sharing their personal views. I know that for certain tonight, all of us will be witness to the downfall of democracy and the guaranteed removal of citizens' petitions and their voices. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words. Mayor Pro Tem.
Good evening, Mayor and our constituents. Every day, I get a call, or I get a comment, or someone says, Mrs. Cobb, did you know? And I say, do I know what? Silence always works. Work will win when winning won't. Just because I don't say a word, I'm not a coward. Just because you don't see me or I'm not talking to you does not mean that I'm not doing the work that needs to be done. I work with fine individuals up here. To say that we are not listening, don't you get it? The more I listen, the more that I can do. We don't have time to run and comment on everything, but I have time to work. And that's what I do. I work. Is that the buzzer for me? I'm always too long.
Councilmember Segarra.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to go on record as saying that we are not discussing removing firearms, as that last speaker kind of mentioned. That's something that is the benefit of putting a citizen's petition. And so, you know, he put that on there. And by no means, I don't think anybody here was ever discussing that. So, and I think a lot of times that's a confusion that happens out there with people is that, you know, things are put on there. I know last week we had that big discussion and it wasn't anything that the city council was discussing, but yet a lot of people felt the need to speak on it. And so I just want to go on record as clearing that, making it clear that at no time has there have been a discussion of removing firearms from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you, Councilmember Segarra. But I just want to get some clarification on something. There is a difference between the charter citizen petition and the council meeting citizen petition. There's a big difference between the two. And later on, you will understand that difference. So you're not taking away from the Constitution or taking away somebody's freedom of speech because the citizen petition that's on the agenda, it was put on by the council in 1985. It's not a state law. So I just want the ones that's at home that are listening and in the audience, there is a difference, and it will be discussed later. With that being said, Mrs. Shirley. Good evening, ma'am. You have 4 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. DS 23-111, that's number 17 on the agenda. Discuss the possible sale and value of city-owned property, etc. I am curious about the possible sale of downtown property. The only one I know of is the Hacks Western Wear building. Why would the city purchase this property and then advertise it for sale at a loss to the city? To my knowledge, there have been no improvements to this property, and it is in a rundown condition, so I'm curious as to that. The other item I would like to talk about is number 10 on the agenda, RS 23-193. removing the citizens petition. Why would you do that? You're trying to control what is said and brought before the public? Why? That's the case ever since I have been coming before this council to speak. I have been gavelled out numerous times. I've been given 20 questions when I did a citizen's petition, and even once my petition title was intentionally not put on the agenda. This council has not been listening to the residents and what the residents want. You are not there for your own agenda and interest. You are supposed to be an extension of the citizens of Killeen. A removal of this petition would thereby open up citizens' comments to include off the agenda as well. And whomever is advocating with petition removal and not opening up comments to include off the agenda items is complacent. Thank you.
Thank you. Holly Teal. Good afternoon. You have 4 minutes.
Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening. Actually, it's good evening. Hi, how is everybody this evening? It's pretty good. We actually witnessed the citizens petition work. Patsy Bracey brought something up. People came out to speak about it. That's the great thing about citizens petition, even though I've recorded Ms. Bracey telling people that freedom of speech ends at the city limits of Killeen, Texas. It was on Channel 6 News that I caught this with her threats. I don't believe that freedom of speech ends at the city limits of Killeen, Texas. I think it starts there. I think it starts with each and every one of us. When I was younger, I demanded respect until somebody told me. There's only 4 types of people that demand respect. And our chief will tell you, gang members demand respect. If you don't give respect, what do? They silence you in many different ways. Abusive parents demand respect because if a child speaks out, what do? That child didn't respect me, they silenced them. There are several more that I can go into, but I don't have time. Don't be like them. Don't be the abusers. But citizens' petitions are a legal way for citizens to put something on the agenda that allows the council and citizens to legally engage into a topic. This gives city council and other citizens time to prepare to discuss the topic and to place the topic legally on an agenda and within the laws and guidelines of the Texas Open Meetings Act. In other words, they have to follow the rules by making the title clear so that everybody can understand it. I mean, I've seen many board meetings where I have no clue what is on the agenda, and I have to actually send a message and ask, what are we talking about? Because it makes no sense. It also gives the citizens a chance to come in and discuss, because maybe several other citizens might also feel the same way. Maybe there were several citizens out here that would have liked to have said they don't want guns here in, city chambers. That brings me to that one. Oh my goodness, seriously? I hate to tell you, there is not one person in here going to harm another person. Trust me, if they were going to harm anybody, I'm a witch. Matter of fact, I had somebody call me that on a stand in a courtroom, that I was a witch. And the worst part is, I've actually had people throw holy water on me, deny me my religious rights, all kinds of things. I've been told by pastors, matter of fact, pastors that come in here and speak, that I should be burned at the stake. But you know what? If I was worth it, they would have already taken a shot at me. There is nobody in here better than anybody else. We all get criticized. Trust me, I get criticized all the time. I have Miss Bracey spreading rumors and lies about me all the time.
Teal.
But it just happens. Grow up.
Thank you for those nice words. Mr. Leo Gukaisen. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, city staff, and distinguished guests. I was originally going to speak on 2 topics for this evening. The first one was remove the firearms from the city council chambers. But I'm not going to speak my whole speech on that. What I'm just going to say on that is...
Did you want to add another item on here?
No, I have 2 items on there.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
The item that was on the agenda was to speak about removing firearms from the council chambers. The individual who put it on there decided not to talk about it and was allowed to explain about other things that have happened to her, and that they did happen to her. I apologize, that's just people being ignorant. But the thing is when another person steps up to talk about it, they get frowned upon and told that that's not on the topic, so on the agenda, so we should not be talking about it. But it is. It was there. And this body let the individual go ahead and speak totally on something else. And then when someone does speak on topic, they get penalized. My next topic is the removal of citizens petition. I've been attending the city council meetings for over 10 years now, and I've seen some weird things, believe me or not. But this one here just totally blew my mind. And I was really more disappointed with the fact that our city attorney, who is a lawyer, as you know, agreed with the blatant violation of personal constitutional rights. The right for a citizen to petition the government for redress and grievances is part of the foundation of this great nation. Our founding fathers sought this to be true, and that is the reason why it is part of the First Amendment, not the Second, not the Third, or the Fourth. The right to petition the government for redress and grievance is among the oldest in our legal heritage, dating back over 800 years to the Magna Carta and receiving explicit protection in the English Bill of Rights of 1689. A few years back, I took an oath, like some of you did who served in the military, that you would protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And other members of this council took a similar oath when they were sworn in. Neither of those oaths say that we can pick and choose which amendments we choose to follow. I have to fully disagree with the judgment of our city attorney in her opine that was part of the agenda packet, and some members of the body that the citizens' comments and citizen petition afford the person the same rights. That is incorrect. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, citizens' comments restrict what a citizen can speak of or about. It is on that item has to be on the agenda, where a citizen petition allows the citizen to address matters that are important to them, or maybe to others as well. As an elected official or an appointed official, criticism, or in recent times as this body has referred to it, attacks, is an implied task that comes along with your job. Not everyone is going to stand and praise this body, except for a few
Sir,
people.
your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. May I get another minute?
Mr. Counsel? Well, let me just do it. Raise your hand. I'll say yes. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you have an extra minute.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And not everyone's going to stand up and praise this body. If you can accept the praise, then you should be able to accept the criticism that comes along with it. It will be, in my opinion, a sad day for Clean if this motion of direction is carried forward with any type of resolution that bans or denies the citizen's petition. As President Abraham Lincoln once said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm coming back again. Silence is important. Sometimes you tell me who you are by what you say. Remember what you say because you've told me who you are. That's something very important. Dr. King tells us in his quotes that the minute that we become silent about things that matter, then we're wrong. We're not saying with the things that I'm hearing tonight, everyone in this room has the right to believe what they believe when you have facts to come with it. But when we do character assassinations, constantly eating at each other, it does not help. You know why I'm silent? Because I take your words. I listen to what you say. I research what you say. Go out and look at what you're saying. And if there's an answer out there, then we hold people accountable. I don't have to sit here and shake my hand and clap my hands.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I am just telling you, Mayor,
Your time is up.
to be just, to be honest,
Mayor
to be
Pro
fair.
Tem. Michael Fernino. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Good evening, everyone, and to ACLU, which is watching this meeting with good intent. First, you and the council ignore and defy state law. Now you're emboldened to do the same for the supreme law of the land. Mayor, you've gone too far. The agenda tonight is pure and simple fascism. That's the definition, and facts don't care about your feelings. Oh, my own council representative stated on the record that you all act as a team, so I guess that ideology applies to all of you. The Constitution limits the government, not us. You obviously don't know or care. The First Amendment supersedes anything you, the county, or the state says. Taking the right of the people to petition the government and redress grievances on the agenda for discussion? Shame on you. You all swore oaths to the Constitution and clearly don't even know what's in it. Let's be honest, you want to deny a right because you can't withstand criticism. The mayor doesn't hold herself or anyone else in the city accountable or answerable or anybody but herself. You're failing as a leader, and you don't want the word to get out or get on the record. Instead of petition, contact you by email or phone, all we get is voicemails that aren't even set up or ever answered. The best response via email is, thanks for the email. I say response because you never get an answer. Try to ask the mayor a question directly after meeting adjournment, and what does she do? Can't gavel me out, can't be bothered to answer, so she raises her arms like Moses and has me flanked by 3 police officers. That's on video, by the way. Mayor, your power ends at adjournment. You do well to remember that. Now she proposes to, ironically in support of a citizen's petition, possibly disarm us in the name of safety and security. Whose safety and security are we talking about here? Certainly not citizens. To date, the only attacks that have occurred have been from public officials on citizens. Nothing spoils a good story like a witness. I witnessed last week's event. Where was your concern for public safety the night I was attacked by Mr. Wilkerson? Did you order him taken into custody? Have him removed from the building? Nope. You flailed around indecisively with no leadership ability. Instead, you and your sycophants focus on me confirming by your hysterics, announcing that I had a weapon. A weapon was never involved. Lead by example. In response to disarming us for safety concerns and all else that's going on here, you consistently claim that you haven't used the police as your personal bodyguards. Well, now it's official. You want and propose to swarm the city hall with cops, officially be escorted to your cars and sequester city staff away from us. Oh, by the way, public records requests can't seem to find any instance of any of you or staff being harassed or attacked. Wouldn't those police officers be better used on the streets actually fighting crime instead of your fantasy narrative? You're gaslighting and stoking fear to distract from your own failings. Increased police presence for non-existent threats to your safety is actually another form of intimidation. It's on file with Bell County, the paper can check, I know they won't, that a judge said you have a pattern of harassment and intimidation. The judge pulled the reverse Uno card on you after you tried to sue citizens claiming that they were slandering you. Have you considered that your stoking fear might motivate some truly unhinged person to try to come in here and try to do something? No, of course you haven't. Strange citizens' petitions seem to interfere with the council's agenda. Isn't it our agenda? Are specific citizen concerns too bothersome for you? You've forgotten that you're representatives. I wonder if you'll gavel anyone out after me who only sings your praises about you and the council and how much they love you, but doesn't actually address any of the agenda items. You know, how much they love you. They're either going to have to speak on specifics to the agenda items and declare a position. Otherwise, you're proving my points.
I would speak on that, Mayor Pro Tem.
I know y'all are tired of me tonight, but I want to tell you something. Respect is earned. I can get more cooperation with sugar than I can with vinegar.
Thank you. I just wanted to address some of the things that were spoken. The first thing is police escort. Any resident, staff, or anyone here, if you feel that you don't want to go outside by yourself in the dark, and we have police officers here, they are more than willing to escort you. It's just not a council thing. Some staff members do get escorted out by other staff, male staff members, the female. That's a given. And then to say I went to court, and I know I'm wrong on this one, and say I lost the case, that's not true. That's one more time, Ms. Brown and whoever, Ms. Teal, one more time, you will be put out. That's my last warning in disrupting the meeting when someone else is talking. The judge made it clear, no one won that case, but there was a sanction put on me. And if you go down to Bell County and request those records, you pay for it, you will receive it.
Point of order.
Okay, I know I was wrong on that, so thank you for catching me on that, but I didn't lose it. Second of all, slander. There's one thing between your freedom of speech, but this council also have the freedom of speech. Whether someone come up here and praise us or someone come up here and slander our name, it's still freedom of speech. So you don't have to like what someone's saying, it's freedom of speech. But it crossed the line and violates a person's freedom of speech when you do slander, false accusations, and try to assassinate their character when you have 4 minutes. For the last 6 months, go look at the videos. It's either Councilmember Segarra, Mayor Nash-King, or Mr. Cagle. And every now and then, Alvarez. So these are just political stunts that I told y'all months ago. They use it under freedom of speech to attack people for no reason. That's your first warning. With that being said, Don Baker. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
It's going to take me 4 minutes to get up.
Oh, take your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Some of my thunder's already been taken. I was here to speak on the gun issue.
Yes, sir.
There's never been an incident of gun violence here, and I don't think anybody's right to carry should be diminished because somebody is hysterical or paranoid about it. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But I think it also is a violation of the preemption laws of Texas.
Yes, sir.
And I know some attorneys will sure push that. Secondly, I do not want to see anything happen to the citizen petitions. That is our method of communicating to you. And I'm not going to impinge anybody's motive, but I think anybody who wants to cut off communication between the citizens and the electorate and you people is doing the citizens a great disservice.
Thank you.
And that's all I'm going to have to say on that.
Thank you.
Yes. I got sucked down the rabbit hole, and I'm telling you, I've probably seen about 4 or 5 videos now, and some of them, a lot of them aren't getting better. What we saw from the very first video that I did was one of probably the most earliest videos that are out. I've gone back into their catalog, like gone back, and I'm not joking when I say this mayor, a lot of the council members, there is so much corruption. I'm starting to get multiple emails from numerous people letting me know about the corruption, how the mayor is, and how there's so much to this that I can't explain it all in one video. I couldn't do any of what I've been learning in any amount of time. This is going to take time for all of this to come out. I plan on doing some special interviews with certain people, and I want them to tell their story, because you know something, they're telling me their story, and some of them they want to tell their story, and we're going to find a way to tell their story without having to put them on. But yes, this goes deeper than you realize right now. This is complete corruption going on in the city of Kilney. I think that's how you pronounce it. Don't butcher me if I said it wrong, but yeah, it's going rampant. This mayor, the council members, the city manager, all of them. They're all connected. They're all intertwined, and more of that's going to come out. And I highly suggest that you send this out to every YouTube channel out there that does coverage like this, and tell them to dig into this town. Tell them to dig into this city. Links will be in the description. Y'all know what to do. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and that subscribe button. And say a prayer for the city, because they're going to need it. And I'm out. Soloyaker. Deuces.